where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.
I want to join with Chairman Upton in urging the president to immediately institute a travel ban until such time that they can firmly and scientifically prove that Americans are safe from having more Ebola patients coming into the United States. And I know, Dr. Frieden, you expressed disagreement with that. Have y'all had any conversations within the White House about a travel ban and whether or not the president has the authority? Because many of us have said the president does have the authority to do it today.
From the point of view of CDC, we're willing to consider anything.
About a travel ban, did they rule it out? Are they still considering it?
From the CDC's perspective, we will consider anything that will better protect.
So are you going to answer the question about your conversations with the White House? Is the White House considering a travel ban?
I can't speak for the White House.
Do you know if they've ruled out a travel ban?
I can't speak for the White House.
Have you had conversations with them about it?
We've discussed the issue of travel.
All right.
Where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.
Because there's a real concern. You know, one of the biggest concerns I get from the hospitals in my district that I've talked to, and I've talked to a number of hospital officials, medical officials, professionals in my district, they're concerned that they haven't had consistent protocols. There's been at least 4 just in the last few weeks where the protocols keep changing. Now, with the nurse, the first nurse that was infected, I believe you personally said that the protocols were breached originally. Have you backed away from that?
We're looking at what might have
You said the protocols were breached. Were the protocols breached with the first nurse that was infected? Yes or no?
Our review of the records suggests that in the first few days of
If you didn't know for a fact, you shouldn't have said it. Do you withdraw that statement, or do you still stand by the statement that protocols were breached by the first nurse?
There was a definite exposure that resulted.
Were protocols breached, yes or no?
Expired.
Yield back.
Where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.
Well, first off, here in the U.S., I remain quite confident we will not have a widespread outbreak. We will stop it in its tracks because we've got infection control in hospitals and public health that tracks and isolates people if they get symptoms.
Where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.
Well, the way to stop this in its tracks, which I am certain we will do in the U.S., is when there's a case to do contact tracing and follow-up, as is being done in Dallas, and to have an index of suspicion.
Where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.
The medicines before that have been used, which you referenced, ZMapp, which was used on the 2 American missionaries, is there, just to confirm, is there no more of that currently available?
That's my understanding. There's no more ZMapp, and it takes a long time to make. The other one, Tecmira, is difficult to use, and in critically ill patients may not be safe to use.
Where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.
It's just common sense. Why wouldn't we do everything we can to protect our folks here in America, to stop these flights?
You also have to be concerned about 3,000 soldiers getting back on a ship. Can you imagine if a whole ship full of our soldiers gets Ebola?
The question that I think a lot of people are going to have on their minds is, what do you do with a person who is going to get on a plane in West Africa and come to America? Should there be a quarantine time period or something like that?
Where he falls. This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well.